Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today is a little bit different because I have my wife and business partner, Sandra Laurie.
Hi everybody.
So how are you today, Sandra?
Very well, Warner, thank you. How are you?
Today you're on the hot seat.
Today I am in the hot seat.
So if anybody doesn't know, Sandra is the Operations Director for WL Costa Properties. So in one sentence, what do you actually do as the Operation Director?
Everything except the actual sale. But I suppose for anybody that's watching and they're thinking about buying in Spain this year, I'm probably the first point of contact that you meet when you get in touch with WL Costa Properties, be it via email, maybe you receive our monthly newsletters, maybe you reach out on Instagram. It's usually me that is contacting you back and then directing you to the right place so that you have all the support that you need when it comes to taking your next step to buy your property in Spain. That's from a buyer's perspective. Then from a seller's perspective, I'm behind the scenes supporting Warner and the team with all of the admin to make sure that we're handling things in a very professional and timely manner. And then I do all the boring stuff like the finances and the day-to-day operational support for our office and our team. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. So I do a lot.
Yeah, so Sandra's job as the Operations Director is basically if you have a car and you have an engine in the car, that's Sandra. Because you make everything work around there. And look, tell us about your personal journey. How did you end up in real estate? And what made you want to join and come on board in WL Costa Properties?
Yes, that's a great question. So I suppose I'm not like Warner in the sense that I've had a real estate background or my chosen career path was to get into real estate. The funny thing about us, though, I suppose, as a couple, we've always shared an interest in properties. So we love to watch property shows at home where people relocate to other countries or, you know, Homes Under the Hammer or those type of renovation shows. We love to look at properties. And even before we started working together, we would always go, oh my God, look at the price of this or look at that property. So that's always been a common interest. But Warner's always worked in real estate and sold property across different countries, locations. He's had an international real estate career. My career was a little bit different. I'm a corporate girl. I had a very senior corporate career for many, many years. I worked at board level, in C-level and senior director positions, supporting CEOs to grow their businesses. My background is in HR and, I was very lucky to have a very fast career that saw me travel Europe, which was amazing, Northern Europe. But a number of years ago, I started to feel that the cost of having that career and being a mum to 2 young kids and a wife to Warner and supporting our family, that was starting to play on me in terms of it was becoming more increasingly difficult to be everything to everyone. And I really felt that I was missing out on being a mum and, I wasn't really being a great supportive partner to Warner because my career came first. That was my identity. That was absolutely first in my life. And I suppose I'm not ashamed to say that now looking back, but that came with a cost on me personally and physically. And I think I burnt out a little bit and I started to become very unhappy. So in 2023, I started to say, this is the year now I'm going to make some changes in my life. And Warner said to me, and this sentence always sticks with me, Warner said to me, you're always growing everyone else's company and businesses. Why don't you grow ours? Because at that point, Warner was working in real estate. WL Costa Properties had existed. It had existed since 2017, but he was very much a one-man band. We had a small office and I didn't get involved. He had his thing. I had my career, which I was very proud of, and that was my identity. And in my head at that point, the lines didn't cross over. Warner did Warner, Sandra did Sandra. But I left my senior corporate career. I started to work as a management and HR consultant. And bit by bit, I started to see what Warner was trying to achieve with WL Costa Properties. And I started to gradually get more involved and say, hey, why don't we try to build more of an online presence? Why don't we have a podcast to support different people? Why don't we really lean into our own brand and identity? And how can we build a business that's really of service? So little by little, I started to get more involved. And we started to work together at growing the business. And naturally, as that started to happen, I started to do less and less consultancy work because the WL Costa Properties business needed me more involved. And that's kind of been, my baptism into real estate. 5 years ago, I never would have seen myself working in real estate, but I think that we still do have very different lanes in the business. I'm supporting more holistically watching our client experiences, and I'm very tough on us as a company to every time we finish with a client, be it a buyer or seller, we do take time in our sales meetings each week to really evaluate, have we done everything right? What are the learns from that? And, what can we do and take forward from this experience that we're either proud of or that we could change for the better so that we're constantly evolving. So I hope that answers your question, Warner.
Yeah, no, and it's been absolutely a roller coaster since you've came on board. Your experience and what you've brought to the WL Costa brand and everything else, we appreciate you because you're such a visionary and you see things happening before they actually happen.
But for buyers or sellers out there that are watching that are considering working with us, absolutely, I'm on it. And I'm very, very critical of us as a business, even though it's our own. I don't believe in resting on our laurels. And it's all about making us more effective, more efficient. How can we serve you better so you are having the best experience with us? Because at the end of the day, you're placing your trust in us. You're either buying with us, which is a huge step in your life. It's a massive commitment, or you're standing with us, and a lot of emotions come with that as well that often I see underestimated, and we understand that.
Yeah, and when you gave up your corporate career, you actually went into your own journey.
Yeah.
Because what I said was when you were coming off your corporate career, it took you a couple of years to actually come off that step.
Yeah.
And you went into your own journey with coaching and, mind frame and everything else. And that's helped you a lot to, sometimes real estate, it's not all about the sale. It's all about looking after your clients, making sure that they feel comfortable and trust. So that your coaching role has really come into the role that you're doing for the company.
So anyone that knows me knows I ask a lot of questions. I can be a bit intense, but I promise you those questions, they come from a good place because I really want to understand the detail of things and how people feel and their emotions and their why and the reason why this is important to them. And I think that's, really helped us make sure that we've got really good client onboarding processes and experiences, and because we're really getting into the detail, into the psyche of our clients so that we really get to know them and, try to really support them in the best possible way.
Yeah. And as part of your role, what really excites you to get up in the morning?
So I love building things and I love making a difference. So if we stick with making a difference for a moment, so I love having the ability to build relationships with our clients. So I'm normally involved very early on in the introductory phase with our clients, where I'm probably meeting them when they first reach out. And I love learning about them and learning about, their commitment to the next stage in their life, whether it's buying or selling. I find that really, really inspiring. So that really, really motivates me. And because of that, it's very important to me that they're treated in an amazing way and have a great experience with us. But I also love building things. So in the back end of the business, making sure that we've got the right processes in place, the right systems, so that our business is working for our clients even when they're asleep. So if you're signed up to our newsletter, for example, we might be asleep, but our clients in America and Canada are still receiving our newsletter and weekly podcast email into their inbox, so that we're keeping in contact with them. We're providing the information that they need about what's happening on the ground here on the Costa del Sol and in Benalmadena and with WL Costa Properties, because at the end of the day, people buy people, and that's the same when you choose your real estate agent. People choose to work with people because they trust them and they know them. So ensuring that we've got the right processes in place and systems that support our clients to get to know us and what's happening in the market, that's super important. And that's what makes me come to work in the morning. Building relationships, working with our team, and making sure that we've got the right processes and systems in place for our clients.
Oh, you love your systems, don't you?
I do. As I said, I'm a bit intense.
So people see me as the front of WL Costa Properties. I'm the man. I'm the selling man. So what would surprise our clients and our listeners about what you actually do every day?
Well, I keep you organised, Warner, which isn't always easy. Warner is juggling a lot of balls, spinning a lot of plates. You know, he's a great guy. He's taking hundreds of phone calls every day. So somebody needs to sit in the background and keep him and the team organised and make sure that everything is ticking along nicely. So that's definitely a big part of my role, would you say?
Yeah, no, I totally agree, because I just get too much coming. I've got WhatsApps, I've got emails, I've got all systems and all that. So yeah, you help me sit down and regroup so that I know what is a priority going forward. And look, I've seen you just, waking up in the morning, so because I went through that corporate career where you didn't want to get up in the morning, you didn't want to do, we couldn't even have a holiday with escalations and everything else. So, I've seen you now come into the business and, wow, flourish.
Because I'll never take that for granted in terms of the clients that choose to work with us have supported us to grow the business, which, in turn enables me to have more freedom of choice in my life, because the business is large enough to support you and I and our team, to have employment. And that's so important to us that we also have that role within the community. So I'll never take that for granted, because I have been on the other side where I've had to do, 15, 16-hour days, taking escalations and very difficult phone calls with clients and board members for very critical situations when my kids are in the swimming pool screaming at me from outside. And, I don't want to go back to that. So yes, I'm very grateful for the business and where we are now. And that's as a result of clients trusting us to go on that next stage of their journey with them. So thank you.
And I know that when you were in your corporate career, you loved, bringing on your team, helping them exceed. So what do you enjoy most about managing the team in WL Costa Properties and helping them succeed?
Yeah, so this year has been amazing. 2025, we exceeded massive targets in the business. We had more exclusive listings than we had ever seen in the history of the business. We had more sales than we ever saw in the history of the business. We had more direct buyers come and choose to work with us, and they're working with us for, about 10 months before they are buying their property. It's a long journey. It's a long commitment on both parts. And we really respect that. But one thing that's really stood out for me this year has been able to grow the team and supporting the team to grow with their, understanding, social media and the role that plays in their role moving forward, but also supporting them with their personal development. And I think one of the roles that I definitely have within the business is I'm the sound pair of hands in terms of support. So, I'm kind of like that wise old owl that sits in the corner and is always there to support and kind of watching everything holistically. So that's personally been a massive privilege for me to have people that want to work with us and grow as part of our team.
Obviously, you've been with us now for a few years. What has been the hardest moment since you've joined, and what did it teach you?
Yeah, so we weren't always as big as we are now. And when I first, I suppose, started to come on board more and more, particularly in maybe 2023, when I was still doing some consultancy work in 2024, the business was a lot smaller. So it meant for me coming right back down to a very granular level, doing a lot of the admin, hands-on work myself, where, for many, many years, I didn't have to do that because I had quite senior roles. So I got quite frustrated with that. But what it did make me do was respect, all roles in our business and really understand the business and help us work more effectively and more leaner, and really look at our processes from a client perspective and go, Jesus Christ, if a buyer came in, if we continue to work like this, they're just going to run away because we're making their life so complex. We need to make things easy. So that was a challenge, but there was a lesson and a gift in that. And I think when people do come and work with us, it's so easy. Everything's automated, everything's simplified, we're always available, and we have set up the business in that way. So yeah, that was difficult for me at the start because I think I still thought, well, I have this big senior director career. You know, I work with CEOs and board levels board directors. So to kind of have to come back down to reality and grow the business from the foundations up, that was a big thing for me. But it helped me to really understand how I want us to work moving forward. And I feel that we're set up correctly now that when you guys at home watching choose to come and work with us, that you're getting a great customer experience.
Okay, so how would you describe your operational style in 3 words?
Very fast, value-led and transparent. So for clients, I'll always transparent. I'll do what I say. I like to ensure that everything is followed up on. You know, fast-paced, I don't like bureaucracy or waiting around, so you're going to get replies from me. Value-led. So I really believe in honesty. It's a very important value for me. So I believe in operating with, honesty and making sure that that's the type of business that we run. I don't agree with false promises, and I really like to ensure that we under promise and over deliver. And when we don't, I get so upset. Like I become fixated on what went wrong in the experience.
Yeah. And I know obviously you love business and you love the team and everything else, but how does Sandra switch off and recharge?
That's a very good question. And I don't think I have for a very long time. And I don't think I really know how to switch off and recharge. I'm one of these people who always needs to be busy. And I think that's, my childhood. I grew up with parents who were workaholics, and you always needed to be productive and you always needed to be busy. But I turned 40 this year, and, it's kind of come with its own set of reflections for me in terms of, learning to be more present with the kids. And also our children are kind of at a stage now where they're a little bit older, they're a bit more independent, and gives me also back a little bit more autonomy. So this year I'm trying some new experiences now. I don't necessarily mean I'm jumping out of a plane or anything like that, because that is not me. I'm not that fun. It could be small things like I don't eat steak. I haven't eaten beef since 1994, so maybe I'll try a steak this year. So I'm kind of trying to get a little bit more of me back and understand, how I want to unwind and be, and how I want to show up in that next chapter of my life as I turn 40.
Amazing. So thank you, Sandra, for giving us a bit more insight about you. Thank you everyone for joining us. And if you'd like to see more, then like and subscribe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
On the next one.